Coke commercial. Alright, lifers. We got ourselves one of these crappy Maryland days going on. So we decided we're going to go shopping. And we're bringing our little friend along with us. Because we need to find the right fittings to make gas go inside of there. So we're off. What you doing, bro? Where you going? Got an itch? What's going on, Shorty? You're around here so much, we're going to have to give you a job. What you doing, man? You patting? Alright, I'll go get you some food. Maybe clean up the parking lot while you're out here. Alright, so after 4 stores and about 35 miles, I came up with that. Which they're the right fittings. We're going to have to change our design around a little bit. But we only have 3. Lucky enough, we have one from days gone past. I don't know where it's from, but it's the same one. Just needs a seal, which I think we have another one of those. So we have all of our fittings, but like I said, we're going to have to change it around a little bit here than our original plan. Like in the past videos, we've said that our original plan was to take our newly formed plate here and put it on the back. And of course the fuel pressure regulator would be sitting this way with a gauge on the front, and the lines come off this way and that way. Well, the original plan was to put these guys here and make them, the lines come off and go around like this, like a little crescent moon. The issue is, apparently they don't make any fittings for this except for one banjo fitting, which is a specialty guy, and it actually has a 6AN fitting on the side. And the problem with those are, one of them costs like 35 bucks. So we got 1, 2, and 1, 2 again, because you know, twice as nice. So we'd be in the neighborhood of $150 for fittings just to make our carburetor fittings. I mean, we're not even thinking about doing something like that. So these guys run, I don't know, online they're about $4 a piece. At our local stores they're about 6 or 7, but you know, by the time you pay for shipping and everything else, it was worth it. So as I said, we're going to put one of these guys in here. We're going to make our line come off and make a half moon. Worst case scenario, we'll put these guys actually on the fuel pressure regulators. That way we can actually get the line already turned halfway up. So we're going to have to reverse our theory, because there just is no other fittings for an Edelbrock carburetor. And for anybody who is actually looking for one, I had the hardest time figuring out what was what. It is a Russell, and it's a 640240. That's the only fitting for a 6AN line that you can buy for an Edelbrock / Carter. So finally, the finishing touches. In you go. I do like the new ones a little better. They're got a fatter nut on them, but besides that, perfect fit. Let's do another one. Alright, I think we've gone as far as we possibly can without actually going inside of the Fiberglass Freedom Machine. We've got our plates made. We've got some linkage pieces in case we need to make some alterations. We got our backup plan here ready to go if we have to. Our lines are a little too short. We've got our gaskets for top and bottom of the carburetor. We got ourselves 2 Edelbrock 800s modified, and well, we have the nectar of the gods. La 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 la, testing 1 2 3, testing. Guess we're starting a new day. But we can't do it with a copyright infringement. Hey lifers, welcome to another day. Today, I almost feel like I'm doing the walk of shame. Because today, it's time to do away with Holley. Except for the fuel pressure regulators, of course. Unlike the time that we put the fuel pressure regulator plates on, it's not just going to be a lift off, set back on kind of thing. We're going to have to disconnect pretty much everything and start over. So the only way it's going to get done is by me. And the best time to get started is now. My biggest fear. If you didn't see that, I just dropped the washer down the carburetor. Lucky it's closed, but I'm taking it off anyway, so, but, wow! Alright, we got everything off. I don't know what the deal is about the gaskets because they came off like they were stuck with glue. And now it's time for our Holley to go do some shelf duty in Shantytown. But the first thing that needs to happen is we have to scavenge some parts off of this guy, which happens to be dripping at the moment. Yay. And here you go. One of the pieces we need is this piece of throttle linkage. We have others that would work, but if it's going to sit on a shelf, there really isn't much point. And I need a screwdriver. See that right there? Looks like the Fiberglass Freedom Machine will be losing some weight. The Holleys weigh 11.31 pounds. The Edelbrocks weigh 7.47 pounds. AVS2 meet NOVA24, baby. Yeah! This is going to be great. If you watch more than one video, I'm sure you were thinking that when I took this carburetor off, I was just going to heave-ho it right out of the boat. And to be honest, again, this is race boat life. This isn't fantasy world. I know exactly how much I got in them. I know what I've attempted to do, and I couldn't do that. There's just too much respect for parts that are very expensive. I mean, maybe I can't get it to work now. I mean, if I live to be about 113, maybe there's a chance. But someone may. And I'm always up to, like, helping out somebody if I can. Just look at it sitting there glistening in the sun. I got good feelings about this. I'll set you down there, and I will scoot along the gunnels with my fingertips and my toes so I can make it down back into the hole. Okay, first things first here. We're going to use new gaskets because we have different patterns from the Holley to the Edelbrock, and of course a couple of them stuck real bad. I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up. as efficiently as possible. I know I've sounded obsessive about these washers and nuts and such, but you just saw what happened, and no, that wasn't staged. And while I tighten this down, I'll tell you a story. I was watching a race a couple years ago, a NASCAR race, and during the day, it was one of the top 5 teams all during qualifying and such, and during practice and all that good stuff. And they qualified, and so they couldn't replace the motor, but they had a problem with the top end. So they rebuilt the whole top end of the motor in the car and went out, did like 2 laps during the race, and blew up. And it all came down to was the fact that one guy lost a single washer and didn't decide to tell anybody about it, and it ended up down here. So, and in our own case, when it happened, in our own defense, ours was actually a stainless steel washer, so it wasn't as simple as just reaching down the carburetor throat to get it. Meaning that I actually had to reach down there with these little tiny needle nose tongs and not push open the butterfly, or it would have fell down into the intake, in which case then I'd been taking everything off anyway. So, yeah, I'm a little obsessive over it, that's for sure. There we go. I do have to say I'm pretty happy about the fact that I don't have to put another plate in here just to hold the fuel pressure regulator. I mean, it's sitting on top like it is, has no effect between the carburetor and the actual intake. Alright, next thing I need to do is take apart my fuel pressure regulator. Yeah, now I got it off. Take it off the plate. And there goes a $35 plate off to the shelf. Alright, lifers, this is real race boat life here once again, and we really love the way these sits on our plate here, and it's Edelbrock should start selling them, because we do have a high-rise intake, so maybe it would fool with other people's distributors. We're not sure. We're not patenting them anyway, so we don't really care. But the one issue we are having is where it sits, which is also really awesome because the gauge faces back towards the cockpit on both sides now. Well, not now, but this one will, and so won't the other one. The real issue at the moment is our lines are wicked short. So we're gonna have to figure out something, either new lines or fittings to come out and maybe go a 45 or something. We're gonna figure out something. But we're kind of done with the A&N fittings. We're just a little frustrated with that whole scene. Alright, well, let's get rid of this first. I'm probably going to take this with us. As a matter of fact, this whole thing can go. Okay, so we've already got our return throttle springs in. I know people don't run them either in boats a lot of times. I don't know why. I mean, it just seems odd to me again. But against, there is no regulation against it or for it, so what the hell. Next thing is we've moved our bracket here one step in. It seems like the Edelbrock ran out of room on the adjustment here, so we're going to slip you in, snap you in place, and we're going to get ready to hook some linkage up. Take the washer off. that's dead soft. We're going to leave it like that until we set the idle. It may actually have been set at the factory real low, so let's leave you on. 7/16. Wow! You almost hit the floor. No reason to go crazy over that. Alright, that's still loose enough, but locked in place. We'll spin our little nut up here, but like I said, we're not going to get crazy about locking these down until they're actually sitting in idle position. So we'll leave that right there. Alright. Alright, now we're going to move on to the starboard side. Got all nautical with you lifers. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put a cork in our fuel line, because apparently we're not going to be able to get the regulators installed at the moment. If you don't have an assortment of corks in your garage, what the hell are you waiting for? Alright, in you go, and we'll just tuck it up underneath where it's going with the pressure regulator right there, so it's above the fuel area. And now we need some snips, because we're going to free our PCB line. Not sure what we're going to do with the fuel line yet, like I said, but we are definitely changing this. So off we go. It doesn't look like it needs a whole lot more, but it does need some, so let's do this. Put you in, throw you in the basket, pull out our spool of line here, this is actually the 3/8 line. We've had this left over from another project. It's not the 7/16, so it actually fits properly and tightly without clamps. Why am I tearing my wiring apart? Because that is a plug end for the choke. This is going to be an easy project, he said with a smile. Man, that Edelbrock looks good on there. And we did also check our plate for height when we had the fuel pressure regulator sitting on there, and even the adjustment nut doesn't even come up as high as the horn, that was good news. Excellent news. So that worked. It's just that, like I said, our lines or something, we got to figure out something to do about that. Next thing is we did chase down our choke wire. Issue is, it's not long enough. I guess the 427 tall blocks with the high-rise intakes are a little different than the 454s with RPM air gap intakes. So we're going to have to do a little extension on this one. Next, I need to find out how big the rods are going to end up being. Okay, we got our stud measured up here, and we're just going to use this union, and eventually we'll get it locked down to where it's just kind of like that union sticks out right here at this hole, and then we'll be able to cut our stud for our air breather down to the size that we need, but we don't want to chop on it yet until this is in, and then that way we'll know exactly where it needs to be, because it's a one-time deal. It's a little specialty kind of thing there, chrome plated kind of long thing, and finding another one would be hard. We've got our choke installed. Of course, we got new loom all the way down to the existing loom. I'm going to bend this guy in a little bit there so it's not sticking out like a sore thumb. And of course, we have everything else is ready to go, except for actually delivering fuel. We're working on that. But for now, the sun is going down and we need to clean up some of this mess. So we got our air cleaner stud extenders made. As you saw probably in fast forward, we actually pinned them too. That way they won't come apart. Some people would weld them and such, but you know, hey, what the heck. But in it goes. And of course it'll snug down against the body right there. So that way this one, when it gets loosened up, won't have a tendency to pull this one out also. But even if it did, worst case scenario, you know, hey, what the heck. There we go. Race boat life. Clean enough for your mother, but dirty enough for your dad. Hit that like and subscribe buttons, guys. Thanks. After 4 stores and about 35 miles, I did that totally wrong. I mean, our original plan, we don't need to I mean it. So we got our air, let's do that. Alright, after 4 stores and about 35 miles, I came up with these. And nice that they actually all landed on the workbench. And of course the power. Welcome to another day of raceboat life. Okay, once the UPS truck leaves, we'll actually finish this off. Let's do this. Regulator plates on. We're gonna have to get unlike the time when we put the ew, my bilge water's kind of scummy. Alright. Trampled all over my film. Trampling all over it.
No, I said goodbye when I was upstairs.
Bye, raceboat life.
Bye.
We have to scavenge some pat. Damn, do it again. Let's start over the assembly. Again. Damn. Happy now? Okay, let's start over the assembly. ABS 2. And we're gonna have to edit. Probably turn this off.